Would you like to see how I made this bowl? Keep watching. Well, today I'm doing something kind of interesting. You know, I've turned a lot of bowls over the years, and it was really one of the things that reignited my passion for more of the artistic side of woodworking. I was working in cabinetry for a number of years, and I remember one particular cabinet shop that I had been working in. The whole first year I was there, I was in the door department, and this was a larger cabinet shop. It was a custom shop, which meant that we took all the rough lumber and we turned it from the rough lumber into the finished product of varying sizes and dimensions, and I guess that's what made it custom. But I pretty much just made doors for almost an entire year. I started to lose my passion for woodworking through that process because it just seemed like all I did every day was the same thing. And so one day I went out and I bought myself this little mini lathe, and I turned on that mini lathe for about 2 years, and I started getting interested in turning more and more bowls, and it became pretty evident that the little 1/2 horsepower motor on my mini lathe, first of all, it couldn't turn very large bowls. It only had an 8-inch swing, so you could only really turn about a 7-inch bowl, and it didn't have the power to do it. So I bought myself a bigger lathe in time and got a good deal on that. I'll tell the story of how I got my lathe in another video. But turning is really what reignited my original passion for a lot of the things that you see me doing today. So in my heart, I guess I have some connections to it and always will. I don't do as much turning as I would like to nowadays, but I just love it and enjoy it every time I get the chance to. Here's what I'm working on today. I came out in the shop actually a couple weeks ago and saw something that I've never seen happen before. Look at this. I got mushrooms growing out of my cottonwood. This wood came off of another customer's property at another sawmill job that I was doing, and wanted me to turn a bowl for him for his daughter, because this tree, this cottonwood tree, is the tree that they got married under. And so they thought it would be cool to have a bowl turned out of the tree that had to come down. And boy, this is weird. This just shows what happens with wood and moisture and fungus and bacteria and things that are in wood that you never think about. Of course, when we turn bowls, 90% of the time we're turning green wood. It's just fresh wood cut right out of the log. And so I guess in this case it just sat around a little bit too long and started to grow mushrooms. No, I am not going to try to eat this. I don't want to know what would happen. I'm not a mushroom specialist or whatever. I don't know what that would do to me. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to walk you through the process, show you how I turn one of these bowls out. Now today I'm just doing what's called the rough turning. So we're going to have thicker walls on it. We're going to remove most of the material. Seeing as this is cottonwood, it won't have to sit too long to dry, but it's going to sit and it's going to dry for a while. I might do a follow-up video on that when I do the final turning. So let me show you my process for making a bowl. There's only 3 tools you need to get started. I have my little wooden mallet. This is a special marking gauge I made, and the Sharpie pen. I want to show you this. I call this a story stick, basically. It's got one spot that you'll put in the center of the blank, and then I don't know if you can read that or not, but there is different varying measurements on there as far as the diameter of the bowl that you're going to end up with. So I just kind of eyeball everything, actually. I look at the corners like so, and I'll make kind of a guesstimate. Bowls don't have to be super specific that way. That's one of the things I like about them. Find the center. Tap your nail in there real quick, and then I kind of look around just to see. It looks like this will make something close to a 14-inch diameter bowl. So I just take my Sharpie and mark around. Of course, this Sharpie is not working. So I grab the next closest thing, which is a pencil, which also breaks. So I grab the next closest thing, which is another Sharpie. Haha, there we go. Red is a good color, I can see that. And that's going to mark out where we're going to cut on the bandsaw for our blank. So I see basically three options of how I can mount this bowl blank into the lathe. One is to use what's called a drive spur center, and you would take a hammer and you would basically hammer that into the cottonwood and then use a revolving tailstock and hold the blank in between centers to turn it. I'm not comfortable with this bit in the cottonwood being a soft wood. This could tear out and start spinning on me and probably wouldn't fly off the lathe, but it would just be kind of a nuisance, I believe. The second option is to use this screw, and what you would do is you would drill a diameter hole in the blank that would accommodate, see if that'll focus, that would accommodate this screw. So you could put that in there and it actually holds it very, very securely, very firm, but again, the cottonwood, I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to go with the third option, which is to screw this faceplate into the bowl blank stock, and I have no doubt that that is going to hold that in there. I like to use standard pocket screws for this operation, and I'll pretty much put them in all of them to hold it in, because again, it's a very soft wood, and I'm not totally 100% comfortable with everything holding if I didn't do that, although it probably would. But I'm going to put this in here and then we can throw it up on the lathe. Okay, I have to remove my old chuck here. Now we can mount the bowl blank up in here. I like to lock the spindle in place. Just make sure that that's locked down there really good, and then I turn a little bit. There you have it. Before I get started, I just want to make a few safety precautions. I often get asked, what do you think is the most dangerous tool in the shop? And I'm going to tell you, without a doubt, in my mind, I say it's the lathe. The lathe, when you think about it, in woodworking, you're usually pushing the wood through the object. This is the only one that spins the object. And so this can be one of the most dangerous tools that there is, just for the sake that you're standing directly next to a potential projectile that can hit you. So let me just say a few things about that. If you ever want to have some fun, you're already on YouTube, go search lathe accidents and just see some of the nasty stuff that has happened to people, especially on some of these bigger industrial, like metal milling type lathes and stuff. One of them is that their clothes get stuck in, and there's guys that have been killed, I mean really, from some of these larger machines. So number one, make sure that you're zipped up. It's chilly in my shop, I want to wear a coat. All the cuffs are fairly close fitting. Make sure that you have, of course, your safety glasses. I'll put those on when I'm actually turning. And in this case, with most woods you want to have some type of a respirator or a mask on, just because of the dust that can come off. I don't always wear a mask, I'm going to be honest about that, because not all of them are as dangerous in my opinion, and I'm not doing sanding, I'm doing rough turning. But nevertheless, I know that this cottonwood bowl blank has been growing mushrooms, so there's got to be some kind of fungus or something in it that I don't want to breathe, so I'm going to wear my respirator mask. And lastly, make sure you have good sharp tools when you're turning. A good sharp tool is the most effective measure of safety when it comes to turning on a wood lathe. Alright, here we go. Alright, so that's turning the bottom of the bowl and the foot to accommodate the chuck. I'm going to go ahead and turn it around and get the inside of this carved out.
Lord, my God, how majestic is your name. Your word is true and it never changes. It doesn't matter where I've been, only where I'm going to. Oh Lord, my God, how majestic is your name. Life's not always easy and at times I do complain. My childish behavior only magnifies the pain. Only when I look outside myself and see God's glorious plan. How small become my problems, how majestic His name. The wonders of the universe are there for all to see. I've always been amazed that He's given them to me. I am His child, He is my dad, our hearts are now the same. Forever are His promises, how majestic His name. Well, Lord, my God, how majestic is your name. Your word is true and it never changes. It doesn't matter where I've been, only where I'm going to. Oh Lord, my God, how majestic is your name. Well, Lord, my God, how majestic is your name. Your word is true and it never changes. It doesn't matter where I've been, only where I'm going to. Oh Lord, my God, how majestic is your name.
Well, there you have it. That's the bowl rough turned. We're going to have to let this sit for a few more months and get totally air dried out before we do the final turn on it. It's going to be a nice heirloom quality bowl and have fond memories whenever it's sitting out on display or when they're entertaining guests with it or whatever. Really enjoyable project. If you like watching my videos, please go ahead and subscribe. I have all kinds of stuff, everything from my sawmilling videos. You'll see me outside, sometimes in the dirt and the muck and the cold, sometimes in the nasty heat of the summer doing all kinds of fun, making all kinds of sawdust. Other videos I have are like this, woodworking videos in my shop. My 15 years of professional experience have brought me a lot of information that might be useful to you, or you might be able to comment and say, hey, I thought you did that totally wrong, here's how I would have done it. Hey man, that's cool, that's what YouTube is all about. I like hearing different comments and doing anything that we can do to improve together as a community of woodworkers. I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Have a great day.